Welcome to This Week in Washington for Friday, November the 18th, 2011. Let me begin by expressing my appreciation to all of you who came out to attend our meeting in Albuquerque. I really believe that we learned a lot from many of the discussions that took place there. And as Congress begins to move toward doing something about our important legislative objectives, we are certainly going to be keeping in mind everything that we heard from you and many of the important things that you felt should be included as we try to do something about reauthorization and appropriations. If you've been following our most recent fast mail, you'll notice that the Senate is continuing to work on its version of a 2-year reauthorization extension, which they refer to as MAP 21. While this has been happening, Congress has also been dealing with the ongoing problem of the debt crisis, and the Congressional Committee, sometimes referred to as the Super Committee, has been meeting on this on a regular basis. There are any number of rumors about what's going to emerge from this committee, and they seem to change so frequently, it's very hard to understand what is actually happening. We'll probably know more by just waiting till Wednesday, which is their deadline, to see what happens. Some would say that any failure to reach an agreement will plunge us into another erratic stock market and financial situation, and of course it would create a series of automatic cuts across all federal investment programs and in defense starting in 2013. So the best we can offer on that is to stay tuned to the news and see what happens. Last week on our website and in Fastmail, you may have noticed that the National Resource Center published a paper on veterans transportation. This was, I thought, a very important paper for both the National Resource Center and for us, because it addressed several issues differently relative to veterans and veteran services than we've seen before. First of all, the paper spent a great deal of time talking about how community and public transportation already do their part in helping our veterans and their families. And there were very good stories about local efforts being conducted in some cases for many years by local community and public transportation agencies. All too often, the discussions about special needs in transportation tend to take place in an environment that says, well, when is transit going to do more? In this case, the discussion begins with the great examples that transit has done and how they should be best practices for others. The other part of the Veterans paper that I wanted to call your attention to was the fact that Ambassadors Dirks and Singleton are mentioned for their work in local communities, bringing a better sense of understanding and communication between community and public transportation and those providing services to veterans. To me, this is exactly the kind of good coordination that the NRC has been working on all across the country, and it is an attempt to establish good communications and bringing people together. It's my hope the next of these papers will deal with dialysis and healthcare, and we think this would be another good opportunity to show how community and public transportation already do their part, and how with additional help, good communications, and a better understanding between the people who are providing that service and using it and in need of transportation, how they can work together. I'd also like to say that one of the things about this specific issue I was thinking about was that we really needed to try to establish a new dialogue or talking point. I was thinking about something that President Kennedy said the other day, and it was this famous quotation about, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And I think we're committed to trying to bring that same kind of logic to the coordination discussion by saying we're not here to see what community and public transportation can do for you, but what we can do together to make mobility in the community and places we call home work better for everyone. As part of that, this week, some of my colleagues are out in Arizona conducting another one of our institutes that are designed to do just that, create dialogue between people who need transportation and people who use it, so that we can explore together with them how together we can help address the mobility needs that everyone has, as opposed to only beginning that dialogue by saying, what can you do for us? I think you'll see much more of this in the coming issues of Community Transportation Magazine. Some of you have been involved in the development of what Scott Bogren has been describing as a day in a life of community transportation, showing the things that go on every day in America because of the work that our members do and we do in trying to make mobility available to everyone who needs it. That's our story, and that's the story we're carrying forward in the discussions that are going on here in Washington now about both appropriations and a possible reauthorization. So I look forward to hearing from you on any of the comments that you might have on any of these subjects and on any of the subjects we discussed at our recent board meeting. I also noticed that we're only less than a week away from Thanksgiving, and I'd like to take this opportunity to extend to you and your families and the people you work with all of our hopes for a very nice holiday season, and that we'll remember this Thanksgiving with great thanks all the contributions all of you make to our country every day and to the people who need mobility. So, have a happy Thanksgiving, have a good weekend, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Thanks. Goodbye for now.